Hello everyone, Vexo here, and basically I thought I'd, start a tutorial series on Adobe After Effects, starting with the very basics, as I've got quite a lot of friends on Skype wanting to know, how I learn After Effects, and they've basically been telling me that they've been opening the program and not knowing what to do. So this tutorial is going to be the very basic, so if you already know the functionality of After Effects, then I would recommend, not watching this video, but you could leave a like if you want, leave a cheeky like and comment if you want. So I'm going to be trying to help the noobs at After Effects, should I say, as I've been using this program for around 3 years now, so I feel comfortable in sharing my experience on this particular program. Now, first of all, when you open Adobe After Effects, it should look like this, or around pretty much similar to this. Now, what we want to do to start a project or anything in Adobe After Effects is go to the button Composition, and we want to make a new composition. Now, what a composition is basically the time zone of what you're going to be working on, what footage you're going to be editing and working on. So I'm going to be showing you how to do all of this good stuff now. Now, the composition name is pretty self-explanatory. Let's call this tutorial. Composition names, when you've got multiple compositions, it is recommended to do composition names, as you may get confused with a lot of things. I just basically want to show you this picture which I was doing from my crisis edit. Now, as you can see here, with all of this Adobe After Effects screenshots, you can see that I have got a lot of compositions and all of that fun stuff like that. Now, renaming the composition makes it 10 times easier in finding your footage. Now, for just one composition, it's fine, you don't have to mess about with it too much, but I would recommend when you're using multiple compositions to actually rename your composition name. Now, the presets are pretty much the presets which Adobe After Effects recommends. Now, you can use any of these if you wish. However, if you want to use your own footage and do your own resolution and frame rate, then by all means necessary, please mess about with these settings, which I'm going to show you in a second. But these presets I would recommend using if you are new to After Effects, as they're pretty much recommended to those who want to edit. However, I wouldn't recommend them for editing gameplay footage such as Call of Duty, as you need pretty much quite a high frame rate, especially when you're motion tracking 2D footage. Now, let's take a in-depth look at all of these settings now. Now, this width and height is the resolution of what your composition is going to be. So your width is 1280 and your height is 720 pixels. Now, this is 720p, which what people call it, and the width 1920 by 1080 is 1080p. Now, this lock aspect ratio button locks the aspect ratio, so 1920 and 1080 as it is 16:9 aspect ratio, so every 16 the width goes up, the height goes up 9. That's basically what it is. Now, if you tick the lock aspect ratio and you move these integers here, then it will still look the same, the resolution. However, it will be a lower quality. So if you're recording in 1080p footage, I would recommend 1920 by 1080. However, if you're recording in 720p footage, I would recommend 1280 by 720 pixels. And square pixels, I would also recommend. These are the settings for different sort of cameras. These are like the camera settings for different types of cameras. Now, the frame rate is how many frames is in your composition per second. So at a 60 frames per second rate in a composition, it will move 60 frames every second, so 60 screenshots every second on a composition. Now, if you click this drop down box here, this is what Adobe After Effects recommends you doing. Now, anything over 30 I would recommend for Call of Duty footage and all of that good stuff. But if you're making a animation such as my Crisis heads up display at the start on the intro, if you've seen that, if not then I would appreciate it if you would look at it, then I would recommend using around 29 to 25 frames per second. Now the resolution full, half, third and quarter can be changed within the composition anyway, and this pretty much depends on how your computer performance is running. So if you have a really fast computer, then please do full. If you have a really bad computer, then quarter, and you can obviously judge half and third. And of course you can do custom. Now this duration with the frames, you may see something different, but this is how many frames you want your duration to be. So let's say if we have the frame rate as 30 and we want the duration as 300, then that would mean that the composition would be 10 seconds long. Now you may not have it in this format, you may have in the time format, such as, let me just show you here. You may have it in the time format like this, and this is a simpler way on judging how big you want your composition. So this is in seconds here, this is in minutes, this is in hours, and that's probably days. I'm not sure why you would want to do a composition in days. And of course is the background colour, which I usually do black. I haven't really used any other background colour except from black, so I would recommend doing black. Now once we press OK, you will see that this composition will be at 1280 frames on the width and 720 frames on the height. Now you have pretty much made a composition which is 10 seconds long, as you can see down here, at 30 frames per second. So overall 300 frames are in this composition. You can't do anything with this, and that is why you need to make a new layer if you're doing anything. Now there's different sorts of layers. You can either do text, solid, light, camera, null objects, shape layer, adjustment layer, and Adobe Photoshop file. Now I would recommend for starting out you use a solid, and this solid is pretty much the settings, the basic settings of what you just did on your composition. However, solids you can add effects, keyframe, like the position and the scaling, and you can do a lot more. I would recommend pressing make comp size, as this will fill the whole composition, because even if you do drag it in, then you can mess about with the scale and everything else. Now you can change your colour of your solid. Now for this tutorial I'm going to do it dark red and press OK. This was just basically showing you guys the very basics of After Effects and how to start up your composition. Now in the next tutorial I'm going to be looking at keyframing the position of particular objects such as this. So let's say if you want to animate this solid to the right, then it will keyframe and animate to the right within After Effects. Now thank you for watching this tutorial series, and I am sorry if you already know this, but I'm trying to help out the unexperienced audience in Adobe After Effects. And remember guys, I'm not the best at this program, I'm just sharing my knowledge. So if you don't want to watch this, then please don't, but I would appreciate it if you would leave a like for my effort in making these tutorials, and I will see you later for the next one. See you later guys, peace.